Yo, what's up guys? I'm gonna keep working on my 2D game here. As you can see, yeah, it's pretty Sigma. And it's called, Big Balls. So, yeah. That pig. Oh, that's nice. Oh, it's the other way around, bro. Oh my. So we're gonna, oh wait, okay, so there's gonna be a landmine here. And then I'll just get that, drag it there, and then, oh, and then I'll get this, and drag it there. more, I think so. Yeah. Just let's drag 4. Let me just. Yo, I'm so good. Now we just. Let's see.
a tiny bit of gameplay elements here. Of course I did this very quickly and I'm not always the most creative when it comes to level design, but you get just how easy it is to place obstacles into our scene. You should of course pump this up with a bunch of different kind of objects. You can put collectible coins in here, obstacles that move back and forth, stuff to jump over or go beneath. There's plenty of opportunity, and the best thing about it is just how easily we can playtest it. Let's try and hit play and see how difficult this level is. The first thing that I'm noticing is that my controls feel really slow. Now that's not really a problem with the level. That's more a problem with our movement script. So let's see what we can do to edit that. Let's select our player and double click on our player movement. Now currently, in order to move our player forward, we're adding a force. And I think that works fine. But when moving to the right and to the left, it feels very non-responsive. That's because when adding a force to an object over time, it slowly builds up momentum. And when we then change direction, we have to wait for the object to build up enough force to do so. And this is where force modes come in. Unity actually allows us to specify in which way we should add a force. And we do that as a fourth parameter. First we have the force on the X, then we have the force on the Y, then on the Z, and finally we have the force mode. So let's put a comma here and let's input force mode dot. We can
Okay, that's gonna be really useful. Yep, that is going to be very useful. So let me just sideways force, and then force mode dot.
You can go through and read about what the different forces do. The standard one is force, which adds a continuous force to the rigid body using its mass. The one that we want is velocity change. This directly edits the velocity of the object and it completely ignores its mass. So make sure to add this to both of the add force statements. Let's now save. And head back into Unity, and I know by experience that when using velocity change we need much smaller numbers. I think something around 100 should be fine. So if we now hit play, we can try that out. It already feels much more responsive, but I think it could be better. One thing we can do to make the movement feel more snappy is up the drag. Drag
Oh yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Make that like 25, matter of fact.
is basically air resistance. So the higher the drag, the more quickly our object is going to be stopped by air. That also means that we need to amp up our forces in order to move at the same speed, but it should make everything feel more responsive because the object is quicker to slow down. So let's up the drag to something like 1. Let's leave the same sideways force. Let's actually put our forward force up quite a bit. Let's try it out at 4000. If we now hit play, everything feels so much better. I think this is a good forward force, and I think our controls feel really fluent. By the way, a cool shortcut is that you can play the game by hitting Control P or Command P if you're on the Mac.
Control P, let me try. Yo, that's fire. Yeah, it's really slow, to say the least. Okay, it needs to be higher. 2200, let's see. 1,900.
Back. So the level already feels pretty fun. However, it's not too hard to see that this particular part is a bit too difficult. So let's just go in here and maybe add a tiny bit more distance between the first obstacle and the next one. And we'll do the same thing with these. Let's try it out again. Much better. The final thing that I wanted to add in this video is fog. Currently we can see all of the objects, no matter how far away they are. That's not too pretty, and it also makes the game feel a lot less interesting. The neat thing about this game is that it feels like the obstacles are coming out of nothing, and you never know what to expect. Well, we know, but the player shouldn't. So let's go undo Window and select Lighting. We can then take our lighting panel and dock it over here by the inspector. And maybe give it a bit more space. There are a bunch of settings here to play around with. Stuff like the intensity of our ambient light, how to calculate shadows and reflections, and finally, we have the fog. Let's go ahead and enable that. Let's also expand it. This allows us to set a color of our fog. You can choose pretty much any color you'd like and definitely get interesting with this. But I'm just going to go ahead and use the color picker to get the color of our background. That makes it feel like everything is blending in towards the sky. We can then up the density a bit. I'm gonna set it to something like 0.02. So now if we maximize our game view by hitting shift space, press play, we can see that our game actually starts to feel like a game.
Forgot it was Control P. Alright. Perfect. Perfecto. Boom. The landmines are a bit far away. I'm gonna try to move them closer. Yeah, and the landmines are really easy. That was not what I was going for at all. You can like easily bypass the landmines. They're like not even a challenge at all.
Level is currently really short though, so I definitely recommend creating something a bit larger. And again, you have most of the stuff in place here to create procedural levels. Don't be scared to experiment. That was pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss since the last video. So I'm just going to unzip that.
What are we doing?
And this now allows us to write that we numbers. To do that, we simply need to format our text.
Oh,
A lot of you guys asked me how you can create some kind of score for the game. So that's what we're going to be making today. It also gives us the chance to play around with some Unity UI. Exciting stuff, let's get started. So let's begin by getting a bit more organized. First off, let's create a folder for all of our scripts. Let's name it scripts. We'll place our follow player, player collision, and player movement in there. Let's also make one for our materials. Again, we'll call this one materials and drag our obstacle mat and player mat in there. I think we can just leave the rest here. Let's then correct something that's been annoying me since the last video, and that is the collision detection. Sometimes it happens that our player actually passes through one of the obstacles. It's something that you guys have also noticed in the comments. To get more accurate physics detection, we can select our obstacles and choose continuous under collision detection. We'll do the same thing to our player. We'll also go under edit, project settings, time, and decrease our fixed time step.
Time. Oh, edit project settings time. My bad. Bro, what? Okay, I guess we gotta press on it and then go to time. Yeah, because they really changed this. This was 8 years ago. I remember that.
Settings, time, and decrease our fixed time step. I'll just set it to 0.01. This means that Unity will more frequently update our physics, and therefore the chance of missing a collision is reduced. This also means that we'll probably have to select our player and increase the forward force a little bit. I'll just set it to something like 8,000, and I played a
So 2 times more since we did. Okay, perfect. So 1,900. Bro, trust, I'm not dumb. I'm just... It's 8 in the morning. I don't want to do math. 3,800, okay. I guess I'll also change this to 50 then.
around with it and found that a sideways force of about 120 felt pretty good. So now when we hit play, everything should look and feel pretty much the same way, but it just feels a lot nicer and the collisions are going to be much better.
Let me play now. And I really like the sideways force. I don't want to change it. It's good. Whoa. The balls kind of slow you down, I think. Those yellow physics balls. Yes, landmines. Yeah, and they're much harder now. Great. I'll also add more landmines. We'll do that later. Also, I accidentally did Control P. I did not mean to do that, buddy.
I'm also just going to fix my OCD by setting our player to a Y position of exactly 1. Alright, so let's get started with our UI piece. Creating UI in Unity is pretty much the same thing as creating anything else. We go to the hierarchy, we right click, we go under UI now, and we can select text. This creates a canvas. A canvas is a place to display all of our different UI elements, and a text object, which of course allows us to configure our text. But we can't currently see it anywhere. To have a good look at it, let's switch to 2D mode. Let's select our text and hit F. Let's also zoom out a bit so we can see our entire canvas. Notice that the canvas will resize to fit the size of our game view. This is basically the screen that we can paint stuff on. For a text object here, I'm just going to move it up and put it kind of in the...
Ooh. I gotta go eat breakfast now, and when I'm back, we'll work on the score system. But I feel like this game is going really well so far. And even after I'm done with the tutorials, I might be able to code a little something myself. Maybe. But, yeah. This game is going really well. I can't wait to publish this when it's done. I might also make a demo before publishing the full release. Maybe even on Steam. But I haven't done that before. Or I'd have to search up a tutorial. But yeah, for now, bye. And then I'll keep streaming after I eat breakfast.